going on, everybody? It's Corey here, and Zapp Comics Video Podcast 2019, and I apologize for the delay on these. I just ran out of time. Store's been busy, life's been busy. I know it's stupid excuses, but it happens. I'm here just with Johnny Knoll today, my good friend El Doctor.
Hello.
What's up, buddy? Joe's away, and Mozart is too good for us and moves to Chicago. No, we love Mozart. He will be back on some when he is visiting us and on the northeast side. We'll have him come in, and I might even do some ones like via FaceTime or Skype or whatever you want to call it. But I will have him back on here, and if not, like I said, when he does visit us, I'll put him on here. I want to talk about something, Johnny, you can relate to it very easily, is the market right now is red hot for certain things. Mm-hmm. The back issue market, of course, is amazing, especially the Bronze Age stuff. But for some reason, when we get like a lot of cool collections in, and we get like you can put up a really cool Batman book or an awesome X-Men book. I mean, people come in, they like, oh, that's cool, and you put it online, they like it, they might ask for it. But for some reason, when we get anything, any Silver Age Spideys, issue 20, between 1 and 20, any vintage Star Wars figures, loose, carded, whatever, probably loose more than carded, and like a Hulk 181 or a Spider-Man 129, it's almost like we put like the bat signal on the building, and people like literally come running in. And I'm not exaggerating this. It's weird. If I had X-Men 1 through 50, and I put a video up, everybody want number 1, number 3, number 4, the Juggernaut 12, and 13, and maybe 28 with Banshee and stuff like that. But it's cool, and even FF, the Fantastic Fours. But for some reason, when you get Spider-Man, it's like ridiculous, and I'm pretty sure I know why. If you look at the big characters, I'm going to leave Superman out of the conversation now, because Superman is not as relevant now. Is not as big now as he was at one point. As you know, I know he's iconic and it's Superman, but it's very dated. Spider-Man and Batman are the kings. Okay, and Wolverine's right next to them as far as popularity, and you're seeing somebody because you have like Deadpool's popular, but more with the newer crowd. The older crowd doesn't really acknowledge him being a big character. So I'm going to leave it to just Spider-Man and Batman, and we'll throw Wolverine in there. If you want Batman back issues, you buy them. Mm-hmm. Okay, I love Batman. He's awesome. He has an amazing rogues gallery. All right, let's go. I need to get the first appearance of Batman. You can't buy it. Let's go after Catwoman. Oh, her first appearance is Batman number 1. Mm-hmm. How about Joker?
Batman number 1.
So all the biggies, you can't even afford them, let alone see them. And they're on the cover. Mm-hmm. First Robin. It's Detective Comics 38. It's like it cost of a house. And unless you buy the crappiest comics versions of it, and you can't, and it's on.
Yeah, but not even now. It's not presentable.
Yeah. It's like this ratty piece of paper.
Even ratty right now is.
I know. I'm saying the price is there, but you don't want to show it off. So, the next best thing is Spider-Man. Mm-hmm. Now, keep in mind, AF-15s are getting to that point where they're expensive. Yeah. Like they're really getting to be like, okay, a really decent copy now is like 10 or 15,000. That's a lot of money. Spider-Man number 1, you can get a nice one with some good eye appeal, low grade one for a few $1,000, $5,000-$6,000. A lot of money, but you can probably do it. But you can get a nice like 2.0 copy of ASM number 2 for $1,000 first Vulture. So that's the other thing, is the Spider-Man's, it's the covers. Every character that was debuted, this major rogues gallery, they're all on the cover. Yeah,
and that's the first 50. You just.
Number 1, it's obviously Spider-Man. It's first Fantastic Four crossover. Nobody really cares. But first Chameleon, he's on the cover. But is he on the? I don't think he's on the cover. No, he's not, because Spider-Man is trapped in that thing. Yeah. So number 2, Vulture. 3 is Doc Ock. 4 is Sandman. 5 is who's 5? 5 is Doctor Doom. It's early Doctor Doom crossover. 6 is the Lizard. And then it jumps up to 9 is Electro. 10 is Enforcers. Nobody really cares if they're Enforcers, but still. And then crap, I should look these up. 13 is Mysterio. 14 is Green Goblin. 15 is Kraven. 16 is an early Daredevil crossover in the yellow costume. What is 11 something? I can't remember. crap. I should look these up. 20 is Scorpion. I don't think 11's the second Doc Ock. 10 is Enforcers, and 12, I can't remember if 12's anything. I don't remember Spider-Man 12. For some reason, it's drawing a blank to me. But anyway, so those are all major characters. Number 41 is obviously the first Rhino, and they're all featured on the cover. Hulk 181 has Wolverine on the cover. It's like a poster. So if you put these books up, which are pricey, but you can get them, you can get nice copies for a few $100s. I mean, not 181, but like the early Spideys, you can get a nice copy of some of these early ones for $800, $900, $700, and have it displayed nicely. No, that's 11. No, I'm not 12.
You said 11.
No, 11. I know 11 the second Doc Ock. 12. I can't remember what 12 is. For some reason, I can't remember what Spider-Man 12 is. I don't know.
Sorry.
No, I don't know why. I can't remember what it is. For some weird reason. But yeah, so that's like a beacon. And the vintage Star Wars figures. I think it's because it's the first true. Well, it's not Doc. Yeah. So I think the vintage Star Wars figures. It's because they're the first true action figures.
Yes.
It's when they converted from the doll size to the action figure size. And they're all, you can pretty much afford them. Aside from like if you get a graded one or like, the telescoping lightsaber or early bird, and variations, and even like the blue snaggletooth and the a man and yak face. You can buy them. I mean, they might cost you $100 or $2, but it's not like
they're out.
It's crazy. And I know we talked earlier. You buy new figures. You buy. They're like $25 a piece, and they're like 3 3/4 inch figures, and they're crappy. And I'll just go buy a vintage, a loose one for $20. So, but it's funny though how when you put this up, whether they're like 45 or 20, when you put up these, like I said, these certain things, they come running in. If I get a giant size one, X-Men #1 is cool, put on the wall, it will go, or X-Men 101 first, Phoenix goes. But the other ones, they look cool on the wall, but people don't run in for them. Like they'll look at them and they do sell, but Spider-Man, it's like I want to hold on to them, I can't. They sell too fast. Vintage Star Wars figures, that case gets wiped out within like 2 weeks and it's gone. And everybody's like, and you like, then you'll starve for more. You just don't get them in. I get collections of vintage He-Man figures. They don't fly out of there. Maybe 1 or 2 do, but most of them, everybody goes, "Oh, I remember I had that. It's really cool," but nobody comes running in for that. It's just weird. It's not weird, but it just it amazes me every single time when, like, Ben will come in and say, "We just bought a big collection." I'm like, "Oh, sweet, what do we get?" And he tells me all these cool books, and then he's like, he comes in and he goes, "Yo, I got Spider-Man like 2 through 45," and I'm like, "Oh yeah." I'm like, I can't wait for this to be done.
Well, that's the thing. Like Spider-Man, like you said,
it's major.
It's people. There's so many people like Spider-Man. So it's not nostalgia. It's just like people like Spider-Man. Like you said, you can get those first 20 issues that have so many first appearances that were from the 60s as opposed to 1940.
And they're on the cover. They're all on the cover. Like I said, it's the covers because my favorite character of all time is Silver Surfer. His first appearance is Fantastic Four 48, which is a very boring cover. As the Watcher, like, looking up and over the cityscape and all the crowd is there. Listen, for the story, it was perfect because it was a 3-parter. There was no spoilers. It was kind of neat. But 49 has Surfer and Galactus on the cover, featured coming at you. That technically, if that was number 48, I mean 48's red hot and skyrocketing, but if that was the cover to 48, it would change everything. Iron Man 55, first Thanos, it has Drax punching through the wall, and the Blood Brothers. Or
the Blood Brothers.
If that was Thanos, forget about it. I mean, that book. I mean, it's hard as it is, but the fact, because most people get them graded anyways. Yeah. The fact that you put it on your shelf and show it off, and you have them featured on there. I mean, any of these books that have the New Mutants 87, the first Cable, New Mutants 98, first Deadpool, all these things. Werewolf by Night 32, which is a pain in the butt to get. In general, a little in nice shape, has Moon Knight on the cover. It's not like he's hidden in there or he pops up somewhere. Strange Tales 110, very first Doctor Strange, he's not on the cover. It's a very boring cover.
Well, it's like, if you go to the Hulk in 181, well, technically Wolverine is in 180.
Listen, he's clearly in 180. It's not a it's like a half page, like a panel. He's standing there.
He's there. So, but I mean, he's not on the cover.
On the cover, and it's boring. It's a boring book.
So, I mean, people just, decided it'll be 181. But, I mean, in every other book, if it wasn't that book, they would say 180 was the first appearance.
Oh, yeah, of course. Now, if you notice, 181 is getting to be ridiculously priced. Even, like, a low to mid-grade one missing the stamp, it's still like outrageously priced, and a lot of people are going after 180 because
well, you can get it.
You can get it, and it's the first Wolverine. You know what I mean? It's like he's not in the shadows. It's not like a little teaser. Amazing Spider-Man 300. If Venom was on that cover, like Venom doesn't appear on the cover until issue 316, where he's like reaching over him, which is if that 316 was a cover to 300, it would be even more expensive. More, I mean, it would be excuse me, out of this world expensive. So I'm just always amazed at how. Like, you almost forget, because it'll go for a while without any Spideys, you know, and, like, we get all these cool books coming in, and they sell, especially the wall books. The wall books sell, and I love how like, we get complaints that, like, hey, you know, you posted that you sold, first Mysterio, whatever, Hulk 181, or anything else, and they're like, I didn't even see it. I'm like, yeah, it literally came in, either someone wanted it, or I put it on the wall. Somebody came in that day and saw it and bought it, or I just made a video of the wall and it instantly goes. So you just come in like every other Saturday, you're not even going to see these books. And it's funny because it's a complaint to where people are saying like, hey, you sell all these amazing wall books, but I never see them. And it's like kind of like a complaint that you kind of want to have. It's like, well, what am I going to do? Say you can't buy this? I want it to say, I mean, because I like having them on the wall, of course. So we're starting to change it a little bit where we get new collections in, we put them on the wall. We put them out, say I put them out on a Monday, and I'll leave them out there until like the following Tuesday before I start actually like kind of posting pictures of them online, because a lot of people come in on Wednesdays and Saturdays are regulars. They want, you know, they see it and they buy them. A lot of times there's books that come in the store that people didn't know they were even there. One, I didn't get a chance to take a picture of it, and two, it just went. It just happens. Like, you know, like I'm sorry, like there's some guys that will say it and I don't even know who they are. I don't know who you are, and like if you actually really wanted this book, you could just ask me, hey, listen, can I be put on the list? Or you can buy these books. Like, it's not like we're the only place that has them. You know, I'm always amazed. Like, I've been looking at it for forever. I'm like, you can go online and find it if you really want it. You can go online and find it. You know, like it's not that hard. But I just love how people complain that like, oh, I didn't see those books on your wall because they didn't stay on the wall. Well, like they literally, a lot of times they're private sales too. You know, because they're really expensive. I'm not going to put them on the wall, but it's what happens. And the market is so hot now with like, oh, this guy might be in a new movie. So the book went from $2 to $75 overnight. And then the site catches wind of it and it starts to push it. And next thing you know, it's a $110 book. And it's like, are you kidding me? I saw it on the wall 2 weeks ago for $5. I'm like, yeah, it's gone. And now it's, you know, you see it all the time.
Oh, with God, yeah.
These weird books. And there's a lot of times, and I had this conversation with Patrick, who works with us. He's been with us for, I think Pat's been there for 5 years, maybe 6. I forget. And I used to always say to him, we used to put on the island, which is where our bins are, on the wall, the books that are like above the bins on that little thing that usually priced under $20. I used to always put Teen Titans 44 up there. It's always priced between like $6 and $12. And I used to always say to him, I don't understand. This is the first Nightwing. Like, Nightwing's been... Dick Grayson's been Nightwing longer than there's been Robin. You know what I mean? Like, he's been Nightwing. Every generation, even my generation, I never read Dick Grayson as Robin. I just didn't because it was before me. Nightwing's a major character, and then all of a sudden now it's a $100 book, but it took a while. And I'm like, why is this book worth this much and this isn't? One, it's common, but two, it just takes the right people to see it, and it starts to seem well. Now it's a whole different story with the speculation market and the TV shows and the movies, and oh my god, if they make a sequel, you know, the only character they haven't used in anything is this guy, so that book starts to go up. Spider-Man number 20 was one of the very few books of the major Spidey villains that was never super expensive. It was 20 and 41, which is Rhino. And 20 was always like, everybody kind of had it, because 14 is very expensive because of Goblin, and then 15 is Kraven. But then it was 20 was Scorpion, and everybody kind of had Scorpion. And now, that one is like the hottest one, because it's still more affordable than the others, but now it's going up because they're all buying it. Because the other ones are just out of reach, and Scorpion is going to pop up in something. No more. I mean, I know he's in that's the Spider-Verse movie, but they're going to use him. And, you know, obviously Mysterio is jumping because of the next, you know, I don't know, what's it? Far From Home, was it called? The next Spider-Man? I think it's Far From Home. yeah, so Mysterio is going to be the main. I mean, Morbius 101. Everybody always liked that cover. He's slapping Spider-Man. Another first appearance of a character who wasn't a big deal. The guy in Fist 14, first Sabretooth. Sabretooth isn't a big deal, but everybody wants that book.
Well, he was. I mean,
he was, but he's not now. He's got like Elektra.
Well, it's that whole X-Men line. Because when you were saying giant size X-Men #1, let's say around the same time when I got the Hulk, that was a huge book.
No,
that used to go out, but that used to be a hot book too.
I'm just saying, no, it still is.
Yeah.
That giant size one, it still moves the same speed, but I'm saying it then it stops. It's giant size 1, and then 101 because 101's the first Phoenix. 94 through 150, they're good books. They're very solid sellers. But when we get them in, it's not like people don't come running in for them where they do the early Spideys. Unless I'm not saying those early Uncannies aren't good sellers. They're major sellers for us. I'm just saying when we have these other books, it's like you get a 181, and because people it's like a Spider-Man 129, same thing. First Punisher, same category as 181. You had what? It's a cover. It's a beautiful cover. Well, yeah. He's featured on the cover, and it's a bright yellow cover, and it stands out.
Him aiming at him,
it's really cool, and it's the classic Punisher. And again, for years before the show came out, Punisher was like a '90s character that nobody cared about. He couldn't hold a series anymore, but 129 was always on top of his list. But they wouldn't buy his new books. It's one of those things like Wolverine. The same thing. He couldn't carry a title anymore, but everyone wanted everyone in this book. I just think it's like, everybody wanted, that's that's your trophy in the case. It's I have a 181, and it's what I want. I have a 120. You just say 129. You don't even say what it is. You say I have a 129 or 181. You got a 181 in? And then they know it, or AF15. They know these. They know what they are, and it's nuts. But to go back to what I was referring to is especially the vintage Star Wars stuff. It's you know what, I think there's just so many people they appreciate it. That's the thing too. It's just like if you come in and you have a super rare Turtles figure, it's cool, but a lot of people will be like, I don't know what that is. But if you come in and you have like a beautiful Boba Fett like on card, on say Empire Strikes Back card, holy crap, you know what that is. You know what that is. It's one of those things. You just Blue Snaggletooth. You know what it is. You just do. You know what I mean? Like, whether even Star Wars or not, you know what a Blue Snaggletooth is. if you don't know what a Blue Snaggletooth is, he was painted wrong.
Wrong size.
Back then, they would give the companies, like, basically, like...
Headshots
of these characters to make the toys. Sometimes they were in black and white. I think the Snaggletooth picture was in black and white.
Well, no, it was. It was a black and white picture, but it was literally just a headshot. From the, like, shoulders up.
So they did the regular size body. I think it was a Walrus Man body or something like that. And they painted him blue with silver boots and stuff like that. He looked like a spaceman.
Yeah.
And he's actually like a little, a little monster guy.
Like Jawa size.
Yeah, like the size of a Jawa, and he's red. He's wearing red. And that was only available in a Sears Cantina, where the exclusive Sears playset, which you can only get through Sears at the time, which was the biggest toy distributor, like the catalog, obviously. And that had it in it, and it came in a baggie. And then by the time they realized it was wrong, or the corrected version came out, he was red and shorter, and they put him on the card. So having a blue Snaggletooth for years was like having the big thing. It's like having the vinyl cape Jawa. The early Jawas had the vinyl cape, kind of like the Obi-Wan Kenobi, before they switched it over to the fuzzy, how it should be. And but those are easily faked, the loose ones. Even the Carter ones are starting to get faked, so you got to be careful. But they have the AFA grading now, which obviously helps, and that changes everything. So it's like one of those things where, like, we'll get in G1 Transformers, and people like, oh, those are cool, and like, oh, they just want Megatron or Soundwave or Shockwave or Prime maybe, and the rest they're cool, or they kind of in the case for a little while and they kind of trickle out, but. Vintage Star Wars Field, people just come in and they just buy them they'll just grab 5 or 6 of them, don't even look at the prices, they just buy them. So it's neat. It's funny how, like, those are like the holy grails, or the things that, like, if you have that in your back case, it's cool. For a while it was old school vinyl Godzillas that kind of died down a little bit. But we had a nice Godzilla case that would bring people in too. And all the stuff brings people in, but it's just when you have the more modern, newer stuff, if when we get in loose Marvel Legends, the Toy Biz stuff, especially the classic looking characters, when we put them in the case, that brings people into. So it's interesting.
Well, I mean, again, it goes with what it's your childhood stuff. I mean,
it's a chord, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, if you have especially Star Wars, there's so many people.
And plus, a lot of people you went into Star Wars because your older brothers in Star Wars, so it's something you connect with everybody. It's not just you. It wasn't brand new for you, and you were like, oh, hey, yeah, I was really into Power Rangers, but my brother was into Turtles and Star Wars or whatever it might be. He-Man, everybody was into Star Wars at some point. In the 90s, obviously, it was big, with the major resurgence, and they flooded everything, and then they killed it again.
But even, Witchcourt kind of went away. I mean, it was big in the 90s. I mean, even for a while, into the 2000s, I remember, when you had the stuff, the vintage stuff, whatever, it was huge. And then for a while, it sunk again.
Oh, it died.
Everything died across Star Wars.
We had a joke. We always have something in the store that's like, oh my god, this is part of the store now. It's been there for so long, and we had a Imperial shuttle with the box. It wasn't sealed, but it had the box. It was on the back wall for a couple of years, and it would make us through even our sales. The shuttle was never a super popular Star Wars item. It's not iconic.
Yeah,
but it's still a shuttle. It's massive. It's beautiful, but it wasn't an AT-AT or a land speeder or something. And we always joke it was sitting there, and now they'll fly out of the store. Yep. But at the time, I remember it was just like, oh my god, this thing. We would send it to the other store, and then 6 months later, it'll come back up. We go to the warehouse, and it happens, and you're just like, I don't know how this is still here. And then now it's like, oh, you have that, and they run in for it. So it just, the other thing is too, everything's done online now with eBay, and mostly eBay with this vintage stuff. But you don't walk in the stores and see it. I think that's a lot of people when they're amazed at our back issue selection. They're like, yeah, the stores I go don't have back issues. They just have the past 2 months worth of books and the whatever, and then they're gone. They don't have I can't find Bronze Age Captain Americas in a bin, and we do. So it's, to me, that's the norm, because when I was younger, all the stores had that stuff.
Yep.
So I know I talked to you earlier about baseball cards, which is a little bit different of a beast, but it's still in the same family. In 1987, which was probably the peak of the baseball card, boom, where it really hit. They said there was about over 10,000 baseball card stores in America, and in 2007 there was less than 500. So in 20 years, you went from 10,000 to 500, and I think it even dipped less. So they're starting to pop back up, but they're specialty stores now where they're not sports, centric. They're everything, which is how we are. But again, with sports cards, we don't touch them unless they're before 1970 usually, and if it's after 70, it has to be a major player. Because even a George Brett rookie from 75 doesn't really command or bring anybody in the middle of New Jersey, so it doesn't work. I mean, you get a Ken Griffey Jr. Upper Deck card, it sells, but it's not. It used to be $150. Now it's $15. It's like a Charizard. Charizard is the equivalent to a Hulk 181. If you have a Charizard, anybody... You know what a Charizard is. You know the Charizard card, because you don't even know Pokemon, but you know what the Charizard is. So if you have if your store to be at peak tourism type things, and you walk into a store and that store has a base set first edition Charizards in the case, and vintage Star Wars figures in the back case, and Hulk 181 and early Spidey's on the front wall, and maybe a ASM 129, that's you can kind of check. That's the check marks you make. And I think a lot of to do with to go into the Bronze Age with Marvel is that's where a lot of the newer, not the newer characters, the more the newer generation's favorite characters are coming out of the Bronze Age. Whether it's Iron Fist or Power Man or Wolverine, Punisher, Moon Knight. When DC kind of relaunched their, I think it probably considered Silver Age, I guess, when Neil Adams worked on the Joker and they brought back Two-Face. It is late Silver Age, early Bronze Age.
That was 70s. I mean, that was early 70s.
On the window of it.
Yeah.
So that all that stuff, and it's when they really change. And a lot of times that's where a lot of people's things start. and they just come into it. So my favorite stuff is the Bronze Age. The 20-cent Marvel covers with the borders on them are ridiculously amazing. I love that stuff, and this is something I didn't realize until I think CGC had put up like a trivia, like did you know type thing. Spider-Man #2, it's Silver Age obviously. First Vulture, it has a corner box on it with a Spider-Man head in it, and that was the first Marvel corner box. Ditko did it, and they liked it so much they did it on all the Marvel books after that. So that was the first like Marvel corner box books, which I never even realized because they were just always there. You didn't realize where they came from. So I thought that was very interesting. I never knew like that's where it was. I know DC back in the day had always done the circle with the head of the character in the circle. Like All American Comics 16 is the first Golden Age Green Lantern. There's a they have a little circle, with them. They're usually like their waist up or just their head in it, and it would show you who it was. So, but the corner box itself I didn't realize was ASM #2, which I thought was very, very cool, very interesting.
So go back with you saying with the Bronze Age stuff. I think also why it's so popular is because I think Bronze Age is when those books started to get more refined. Yes. Like the Silver Age was fine. I mean, they introduced a lot of characters, but even the Marvel stuff, definitely the DC stuff, they were simplified.
Very simplified. Yes. I mean, not as bad as the earlier stuff, but it was still simplified.
Yeah, they were
Marvel. It was like 2 or 3 issue arcs. Mm. It was catered to like more like young adults, almost college age crowd who were reading it, and they storylines would build over a year or two, and like something would come crashing down, especially Spider-Man. Like the reveal of like Green Goblin being Norman and Harry popping up and stuff like that. That's another thing about Spider-Man 31, ASM 31. First Gwen Stacy, first Harry Osborn has one of the worst Spider-Man covers of all time. It's basically just a symbol, and it's like pinkish red background and these weird little pictures. I mean, it's obviously a Ditko cover, and Ditko's great, but the cover is so boring and bland for it to be, these two major players, especially with Gwen. If she was on the cover, it'd be a whole different story. Obviously, Gwen Stacy probably wouldn't be on the cover, but that's another thing that does kind of hurt the book. Mm. I think that's why X-Men 101 does so well. It's Phoenix shooting out of the water, her green costume's there, and you see her she's not in the shadows. It's just she's featured on the cover. And that helps a lot. That changes everything, And the first Teen Titans, new Teen Titans, is DC Comics Presents 26 or 27. I can't remember the number. It's obviously it's the first.
It's the one with Green Lantern on the cover.
Yeah, it's Green Lantern fighting Mongol, I think.
Yeah, I think it's like him.
It comes with it. Yeah. The preview book.
Yeah,
I mean you can kind of see it on the corner. That's the first Cyborg, first Raven, and first Starfire, and it's also the first major team, but it's like not exciting because it's not.
Yeah,
they're not like on the cover. I mean, they kind of are, but it's like it's in here, so it's like it hurts it. I mean, I know it doesn't matter because when they're putting the books out, it doesn't matter.
Well, it's like the first Thanos. What is that? That's from.
I said that earlier. I'm at 55.
No. Then who's in? What is the one with? I'm sorry. From that's Logan's Run. Is it just an appearance?
It's a Thanos. I think it's the first solo Thanos story.
Okay.
It's in the back of number 6, I think it is.
Yeah, but it's like you don't even know it's
no. The
it's
cover's
there.
kind of neat, but it has nothing to do with them.
Yeah, it has nothing to do with it. But it's like, hey, it's this is in here,
Yeah. No, I know. It's one of those things where it just.
Well, like
obviously, you also want a perfect example is Avengers 195. The back page is a Taskmaster. He's standing there. But his 195 is that green cover with him on the cover, and it's beautiful. And everybody goes after that because 194 is just like, I think it's Wasp or somebody like strapped, and then like all these ants are all over.
Yeah, that's
it's a cool cover, but it's not a poster. Mm-hmm. And then you got Taskmaster standing on the other cover, and everybody wants it. It's just how it is, The first Tales of Suspense 39, first Iron Man, he's on the cover. Hulk 1, Hulk standing there, Journey to 83 is Thor's whipping his hammer around. Like, they're all featured on these covers. And, like, go to Strange Tales 110, first Doctor Strange, he's not even there. I don't know who's on the cover. It's, like, very boring.
Well,
I think Torch is on the cover.
Like, for Aquaman.
Aquaman doesn't appear. He wasn't even on any cover until Brave and the Bold 28, which is the first Justice League. He was around for like 20 years before that.
But he was a Golden Age character, which many people don't even know.
He was never on the cover.
And he was never on the cover.
He was never featured on everything. And I didn't learn that until we got that toy, the San Diego exclusive, the 3 3/4-inch figures where they're fighting Starro. Remember?
Yeah.
Press the button and it would talk to you.
Yeah.
It says the members, and it goes through all the members, and it says...
was it More Fun Comics? Is that what he was from?
Huh?
Aquaman.
It was, More Fun, 101. Because Green Arrow is in there too, and I can't remember the numbers. Anyway, especially Golden Age, I don't remember what number it is.
He was like, it was 40.
101.
It was. Let me see. It was 42, I believe, is the year.
I think it was 101 or something.
Because Submariner's 39.
38, 39 ish, yeah. Yeah, no, he's 39 because that's Superman. So Submariner's 39, Marvel Comics 1. After Motion Pictures Weekly that give away, which is always up to debate. But I think it's More Fun
73?
Oh, 73. More Fun 73 is Aquaman. What's Green Arrow? Is it 101 or Superboy's 101? More Fun?
Let me see.
Green Arrow and Speedy, it's like 101, I think. I always get those confused. Yeah, Aquaman's 73. And Green Arrow, I think, is 101. I can never remember. Golden Age, I can never see the books. I don't remember.
73.
Well, 73 is what?
Green Arrow.
As well as Aquaman?
I believe so.
Did you look up Aquaman before? I thought you just...
Yeah, I did, and it came up. It might be the same book. Hold on.
Maybe Green Arrow's on the cover and Aquaman's in it?
Because it says that did not work.
Oh, man. Johnny's like a...
It's the same thing. More Fun 73.
What's Superboy's? I think Superboy's 101. I think.
He was in More Fun?
I think it was.
I thought it was Adventure.
I don't know. I don't remember.
There's so many damn comic books. Adventures? No, that can't be right. Adventures of Superman.
More Fun 105. No, it's not 105.
That's the wrong
101.
Superboy.
More Fun 101 is first Superboy.
Okay.
So 73 is first
Aquaman and Green Arrow,
which are two major characters. Again, you'll never afford that book. Yeah, well, I always get the Superboy one mixed up with them. Which, if you think about it, you would think Superboy's older than them, but he's not. You know, what I mean, it's weird. It's one of those weird.
Well, it's one of those things when they decided to do it.
I know. But when you think about it, you you probably knew who Superboy was before Aquaman.
Well, the Aquaman thing too is like most people think. I guess because the Super Friends and they think he's like a newer character.
Yeah, because like I said, you never saw him until Justice League on the cover. You know, which again, Brave and the Bold 28 is like. We had one. I think we only had like that twice this past like 5 years. We don't get that book in very often.
Which one? I'm sorry.
Brave and Bold 28.
Okay, yeah.
First, Showcase 22. Al Jordan's on the cover, but it's kind of like he's like the covers aren't really beautiful. Like Showcase 4 is gorgeous.
Yes.
Because Flash is running out of the reel. That's cool. They're featured on the cover. So anytime these characters are featured on the cover, the price doubles, if not quadruples. What it should be. Again, Batman #1, which is Batman #1, which is a major book. It has the first Catwoman, the first Joker, but they're hidden inside it, and it kind of like takes it away so much. And I always go back to Giant Size 1 because it's the first Colossus, first Storm, and first Nightcrawler. I thought you know what I mean? You get Nightcrawler, Storm, and Colossus. 3 major characters are all in the same book. It's like, I wish they would spread out because it'll give you something else to collect.
And that's also great when they're coming through the book.
And that thing, they cover swipes and homages for that cover hundreds of times. That's one of the most swiped covers aside from like FF1 probably. So like FF3. I always like FF3 more than FF1. FF3 is when they first had the costumes in the car because there's just people in the other ones. It's still FF1. Like don't get me wrong, but it's still super cool. So it's just how it is. So I'm just amazed at how certain things bring in certain people and how certain people buy the same. Like you put something on the wall and it'll sell when there's something right next to it, which is just as cool and it's almost overlooked a lot. It just kind of sits there.
Well, not now, but like, what is it? Let's say 10 years ago it was. I remember like constantly there was books on the wall. Like even then the Spideys would sell. And at the time I remember Spideys would come in, X-Men and would come in and everything, but there would be like those like that Showcase.
Showcase 22.
2 would be up there, or another DC book that is a key book,
and it would be
nobody would look at it.
I'm like, oh, that's the first Green Lantern. Oh, that's cool. I'll take the whatever was up there, Walking Dead #2, and I'm like, what?
But those and those books were more rare than what was going.
But I realized rarity almost means nothing.
Yeah.
Unless the book is super hot, rarity means nothing because you get stuff like Showcase. I'm sorry, not Showcase. Secret Wars 8. The origin of Black Costume and Teen Titans 44. Even 181s. They're not rare, but everybody wants them.
Yep.
ASM 252 and the homage to AF-15 where he's in the black costume. Everybody buys it. Then right next to it will be like a scarce book, but it's like, whatever. It's just people just overlook it. And I mean, I guess it doesn't really matter how rare things are sometimes because you can always tell something's rare is when we go to look it up on eBay and I can't find a price because there might be one listed that's like outrageously priced and the one that sold like a year ago, and I'm like, I don't know if that was a year ago. Things change so fast. Once, like I said, once something's announced or thought to be announced, and that's the other thing too. The funny thing is like a movie will be out now, and they'll say, "Oh my God, like everybody must be going crazy for this book," and I'm like, "No, why not?" I'm like, because they're already asking for the movie that comes out next year because the guys have already sold the book that they came out. Like whatever it's like right now, everybody's buying anything Captain Marvel, Miss Marvel. Those are on fire. On like the Avenging Spider-Man and the Marvel superheroes. Was it 18? Crap, I'm messing up my numbers. No, 13. Because 12 is the first Captain Marvel. I think it's 13 is the first Carol Danvers. Because I think isn't 18 the first Guardians of the Galaxy? I think. Well, anyways, that one there is on fire. She's on the cover. And then she gets her powers in Captain Marvel number 18. Is that maybe that's what it is? I apologize. The numbers are probably all wrong. When she gets her hot book's not on the cover. Miss Marvel 1, she's flying. Yeah, that's red hot. But the Avenging Spider-Man one, where she becomes Captain Marvel, is ridiculously on fire. It's like ridiculous. NYX3, the first X-23, she's on the cover. Yeah. Ridiculously hot. So it's all about speculation and stuff like that. And then when the movie comes out, it'll kind of stay there and whatever, and then they'll go on to something else. Right now, everybody wants the first Mysterio, ASM 13, because he's in the movie coming up, and then 101, the first Morbius, because it's coming out. Like that's the stuff. And then once it comes out, it stays up there, but it's not really the hot girl in the room anymore. Well, it's still a pretty girl. It's just not the hot girl. It
also depends on how well it's portrayed.
True. If it can drop.
Yeah, because if it stinks, like look at Jonah Hex stuff. Like that was just. I mean, that used to be not a hot book, but used to be.
Listen, All Star Wrestling 10 is a pain in the butt to get.
Yes, I know.
You get like one a year, and first Jonah Hex, it's a cool cover. He's on it, but he's not like on it. He's there. Pain in the butt book, but for a time that book was red hot before the movie came out. That was before that explosion had hit with.
No, yes,
the hot books, and like even like Star Wars stuff, like Star Wars 42, which is the first comic book appearance of Boba Fett. He's on the cover, but he appears in the Empire Strikes Back magazine. Before that, again, he's not on the cover, and it's not a comic, so people are like, it's like the Hulk 181 thing. Well, this is kind of better, and they go for it, and they just jump on it, and that's what it moves it a lot. I remember when the G.I. Joe movies were coming out, the first one, like 2000, what was it, 07, 08-ish? All the first appearances of those characters were in the G.I. Joe books, like Roadblock and all them, and those books were starting to pop up. Not expensive, but they were going, like, it was $5, it was now $10. And a lot of them weren't featured on the cover, but they were in there, so it went right back down. Same thing with Transformers. It was popped up, and it went right back down. But so it's all depends on what's going on. Sometimes stuff will change overnight. Like the Spider-Man going up to 800. The Red Goblin stuff, and then when it was Norman Osborn's kid, Normie, whatever his name was, his first appearance was like, I think it was 265. It has Doc Ock as Spidey on the cover. It's a really bad cover. That book went red hot for like 2 weeks. It went red hot, and then once 800 came and went, and number 1 came out, it just went right back down to normal. So. It all depends on what it is, and I always tell people, don't buy books to resell. I don't think you should. Just buy stuff what you like, it holds the value. It holds the value. It doesn't. Excuse me. And that just go with it with that. But it's really it's kind of hard to keep up with it because it used to be like you get a run of books and you knew the 5 books that weren't like just normal prices, and you just kind of go. Now you have to almost look up every single book because you're gonna miss it, or you don't realize it got hot. It could only be hot for. If someone doesn't actually, a lot of times because you'll have like 5 or 6 people asking for the same book. You're like, why is everybody asking for this? And you look it up. You're like, oh, it's the first appearance of the second Spider-Woman, or Blue Devil, or something that's been announced, or might pop up on a streaming service, or whatever. And then you get some books that don't even move, like Umbrella Academy. It's getting a show, a trailer. The book, nobody even asked for it. But then something else happens, and it's like, what? And it just kind of goes nuts, and you can't control it. Everybody's like, what's the next big thing? I don't know, because this stuff comes out of nowhere. And look at the Teen Titans 44. Is it 40? Why can't I remember the numbers anymore? It is 44. The first Batman Who Laughs.
Okay? Oh, the new one, yeah.
The new one. That was like a $5 book. Then went to like 10. And then it was like, it peaked at like 50. It settled out at like 40. He was at a nice solid 40. All of a sudden, his #1 issue came out with his issue, and now it's $100 book. And it sells at $100, like in the stores. I'm like, what is going on? And like, I want to get it now before it really goes up. I'm like, really goes up? It's $100. But you know what? What if they make a movie? What if he pops up in a movie or in a video game or something like that? And now everybody knows who he is. The Shadow of the Bat #1 is the first Zaz, and he's going to be featured in something. I don't know.
I'm trying to think. Well, he's been in on the TV show.
Yeah, I think it's a TV show, and that's now like a $12 book. That was like a $2 book for years. Everybody has it. We wouldn't keep it in the bins. Nobody wants it. So it's interesting, and it's fun. Listen, it keeps it fun. I think it'd be more fun if I was on the other side of it, because you're not like running around and like, oh my god, we got rid of those books like years ago because it. I used to have tons of them, but it's like a '90s book that you have tons of, and you just kind of sell them at shows for cheap or whatever, and put them in the bins for a few dollars, and you kind of trickle out. Now all of a sudden it's like a $20 book, and hey, that's how it works. But it is interesting to see how some of the stuff comes about, and like these weird like Marvel Age and Marvel Saga books that might have a preview of a character, and it's technically their first appearance, and it's been overlooked for, and then nobody kept those books. So like, where are they? And you got to run around trying to find them, and then you got rid of that for 50 cents like 2 years ago, and it's gone. So yeah, so the moral of the story is like, just look up everything that you can, and again, if you really want to impress someone, you just put on your dining room wall, put a Hulk 181, and you'll impress most people. I want to give a shout out to a good customer of ours, a good friend of ours, Joe Salentano. He wanted me to ask. He wanted to ask a question on the. I'm starting to get a lot of people asking questions, so instead of dedicating a podcast to it, because sometimes too much time goes by, I want to do a little shout outs on each episode. And Joe had asked me when I saw him today. He said he asked me when to do the podcast again. I said I want to start it up today. Actually, he said, I want you to talk. He goes, I want to ask you, like, how did you get to where you are? Meaning, like, how did I become a comic store owner? Like, is this something I wanted to do? Obviously, that's something I would always love to do, but it wasn't like, that wasn't what I wanted to be. I worked retail. I was a grunt. I went to school, and I got out of school, and I worked. And you stop at the bottom, and you just work up. And I just worked my butt off, and I just moved up, and up, and up. I worked for Toys R Us for many years. I kind of moved up as far as I could go. I didn't really want to go into the corporate offices. I left. I started my own website. I did that, Run Toys. Did that for a few years. It wasn't my thing. I don't like being behind a desk all day. I like to be hands-on. I like to be mingling with the people, and I like going into like the store at like 4 o'clock in the morning and like redoing the entire wall and just working. I like working with my hands. I like doing little projects, and I don't like sitting down at a computer. 1, I will fall asleep if I do. 2, I'm not a computer guy. I wasn't brought up with computers. I'm not a computer guy. I just never was. obviously I need them and I use them, but I can't do that. I did it. It was killing me. I couldn't do it, and so I just happened to, I needed some extra money. I worked at the store with Ben, and next thing I know, I went from part time to full time, and then next thing I know, the opportunity arose to become a partner. I became a partner, so that's really I am. So technically, just by working my butt off and the right people seeing what I do in the right place in the right time, I ended up doing what I would always love to do. It wasn't something that I said, okay, I'm going to set aside money for this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. It just kind of happened. I don't really have a definite answer for it. It just, everything worked out correctly. A lot of it had to do with timing, and it worked. And here I am. So it'll be 5 years in May. I'll be a co-owner of Zapp, which is amazingly awesome, and I hope to be doing it for another 50 years. But so, Joe, that's how I got my thing. So, Joe Salentino, I thank you for listening. I appreciate it, and it comes in each and every week, and he's a good guy. So, if you have any other questions, you can always message me or ask me in person. I get messages all the time. So, now that I'm going to be doing more podcasts, I will be trying to answer any more. Do you have any thing you would like to add? Or are you just going to do your normal thing where you're like, I don't know, and you just sit there? Like...
I'm not prepared.
You're not prepared? You've been sitting here for 46
minutes. I know,
minutes.
we've been talking. I got no questions. Nobody asked me questions.
Okay. And another question I get a lot, not from anybody specific, is what do I collect? I don't collect much anymore, and it's not because I don't want to. It's... Everything in the store is like... I look at it as mine anyways. I mean, not that it's mine, like, oh, I'm going to bring it home on my wall, mine, but, it's mine. And I spend all day setting up the store and putting stuff on the store, and the guys setting up the store for me, which they work their butts off to do, and in the warehouse and in my office and everything like that. So when I go home, I don't really want to go into comic book boxes and put them up on my wall. I already did it, you know what I mean? And then, you know how it is when you get a poster or whatever, you leave it there. And, you go, like, I want to rotate it. You never do. This way here, I set the wall. Look at all these cool wall books we have, and they all sell, and you put new ones up. So it's kind of cool, because, and then you see who gets them and where they go. So I do enjoy being around it. I can't really say what I would collect, because I've been doing this for like 13 years on this end of it. I don't know what I couldn't tell you if I would be a Wednesday regular anymore. I don't know. I have no idea. It all depends on what I would do. It's kind of weird, because it's kind of like you work at a fancy Italian restaurant, you love Italian food, you're not going to eat it like you used to. You're going to go home and eat something else, It just, like you're a dentist. I think I've had 2 conversations with you about being a dentist, because when I see you, you're like, I don't want to talk about dentists, and you used to hate going to the dental conventions, because you're like, I might bump into somebody that's going to try to talk to me about dental stuff, and I don't want to. You want to talk about comic books. So I think it's like, it's different, it's the reverse of that. So I still collect a little bit of things. I'm a big Metroid guy, and they don't make much for it, so I think that's why I enjoy getting Metroid stuff, because once a year there'll be like one little thing pop up, or a t-shirt or a toy Metroid figure or Samus figure that I'll get. I always love my Silver Surfer and Galactus stuff, but I have most of it, and it's in boxes somewhere. I don't even know where it is. It's either at my parents' house in the attic, or in my attic, or in my office in a box. So everything's in boxes. So, and I moved so many different times, and I moved the same boxes when I moved. I never opened them. So I'm like, I don't need what's in here, because I don't enjoy it. But if I did say I won the lottery tomorrow, not like outrageous amount of money, but enough money to kind of not have to work and just be able to enjoy life, I would go after... I love the old Eastman and Laird Turtles. I'd go after the highest grade possible for each one, and probably some original art on it. And also, like, I would definitely buy loose or carded vintage Star Wars figures, because when I was a kid, I remember going to the toy shows with my parents, especially my dad. He would bring me. In this one show I went to in the corner, they always had the case, and it had them all laid out. I just remember looking for, like, getting a Yak Face, a Man-of-Man EV-99, or one of the coins for the Power of the Force figures, or Han and Carbonite, or Luke Stormtrooper, like seeing those. And I think that's what I would do, because that's the stuff when we get in, I tend to look at it differently than anything else. Like when I see a really cool carded collection of Star Wars figures, I'm like, wow, this is cool.
Yeah.
And I would love to put them in, cases up on my a wall or like in a beautiful showcase. So I think that's the stuff I would, or the like very first run of G1 Transformers, like stuff like that. I think that I would do. Comic wise would be kind of tough because you see so many the same book over and over and over again. Probably Golden Age comics because we don't really get them. So I think that's something if I could afford it, I would like to go after. But that's something I would probably want to do 20 years ago. The prices are too high now. It's different now. It's a whole different beast. So I think that's what I would probably collect if I still collected. Like actually like being a collector. I don't. You still have nothing to say? No?
I don't know. What do you want me to say?
I don't know. Johnny collects any 80s toy, mostly.
Oh, yeah.
You got rid of all your pops, pretty much.
I still have some.
You still have some, but you got rid of most of them. But you get like a cool like power of the... See, I do appreciate the Superpowers figures and the Secret Wars figures, but I wasn't into superheroes when I was younger like that. I was into like the Transformers and the He-Man and the G.I. Joes. So that was so I kind of... I remember them being around, so I didn't really have I need to get these cards. So I do the Superpowers cards. The logo and the colors on those are beautiful.
Yes.
That's one of the best packaging designs of all time. So a nice set of carded, sorry, a Superpower figure would be pretty cool.
I remember you had a couple. I remember getting the one. I think it was the mini packaging.
Yes.
That it wasn't the full package. It was just like basically like a small
card, right?
Yeah, and the bubble. And I forget what it was. I forget who it was. I think I may have even opened it because it was like damaged or something. No, I don't think it was Luther. It was somebody more like I don't know. It was Wonder Woman. Okay. For a while. I remember I had them as a kid, a bunch of them, but there were some that I didn't have, and I remember getting them from the store. And but I can't even tell you, like everything blends, into 1 year. So I don't know. Like it's been a while since they were in the store. But those were great ones. They had action features and everything like that. That's the thing. Great those 80s toys. They were very interesting. They were very imaginative, and they always had an action feature. They didn't just stand there.
It wasn't just a figure. They had because they had to sell it to you because the kids didn't just want a figure. They had to do something, or get as close as it could to doing something that it could. So. With all the features and stuff like that. I've grown to appreciate when I was really into collecting. I ignored a lot of books because it wasn't my thing. So I ignored a lot of the magazines, a lot of the the Swamp Thing, Man Thing, horror type stuff. I just didn't pay attention to it. And now when we get them in, they're almost like brand new to me. I've never seen them before. And the art on that stuff, whether it's like Plug or Wrightson, of course, Wrightson, and it is so beautiful and it's awesome, and I really have appreciation for it. Even like the Kirby DC stuff, which I didn't pay attention to at all. You get the early New Gods and stuff like that. The covers and the colors are amazing, and it's like I see it for the first time because I never ever seek these books out. So when I do see some of these, I'm like, wow. So I'd probably dabble into that because I just didn't know about them. I just kind of overlooked them, and they're some of the best looking books out there. So that's probably what I'd probably go after stuff I don't usually see. But I don't know. I really don't know what I would look for. I'm a boring old man now. I just spend time with my kids, and I watch the same movies over and over again, and I work. So that's all I do. I don't really have much of a personality. I don't drink. I'm the pickiest eater you'll ever meet, and that's really it. I don't know what else to say. But to answer your question, Joe, it's kind of I just got here. So you have no questions, Johnny. Nothing.
I don't know.
Nothing to add.
I don't.
You're in the store. You don't shut up. And now you're here.
Well, we're talking. We talk.
Yeah, no, we talk. We talk. So
I'm trying to think.
So there you have it. So next time, I'm hoping to have Joe should be back. Joe's just away today, and we're gonna do a few on. I want to do some on cons. We have to talk. I want to talk about the back end of Comic Cons, like doing them and also setting them up, because Joe runs our own Zapp Con that we do, and then obviously when we do New York Comic Con, it's not that easy. As people think, oh, it must be so great. I'm like, it's not fun. It's not fun at all. Like, I don't think it is. But, the sales floor part's okay, but when setting up, it's not.
And the breaking down.
Yeah, and is there any other subjects anybody wants to talk about, please message me or just tell me in person, hey, I really would like to know about this, and if it's something that we know about, I'll definitely talk about it. And I'm making a major effort to read this year more than I ever do, because I don't read much at all. I'm more of a what's that about type of thing, and you tell me about it, and I'm like, oh, that sounds cool. The only book I actively read right now is Gideon Falls, which is amazing, but I have to read more than that. So, and I keep telling them all my favorite trades, but I've already met everybody I talked to has already seen it or read it, so I need to dabble into anything else, some other stuff. So I want to do some more stuff on that, and I want to talk a lot more about toys, especially the old stuff, and maybe some movies. I want to do a good movie one. We haven't done a good movie one in a while.
It's been a while.
Yeah, I don't know. A lot of guys don't know. We used to have another podcast. It was a long time ago. It was like 8 years ago, because it was before Isabella was born.
Yeah, around when the kids. Born, so
yep. It was called Evolution of a Fanboy. It was a lot of fun. We touched base on a lot of different subjects, and it just kind of fell apart. And once I had my kids, I didn't really have time to do it as much. So there's some subjects in there that video games I really want to do too. A lot of even if it's just one game, like so many classic consoles, SNES, NES, N64, all that stuff, even PlayStation 1. I want to talk about. So all that stuff. We'll get into it. So again, it's 2019. We're back. Woo. And I promise you'll be getting a lot more of these. So we welcome your feedback. So for Johnny, this is Corey, Zapp Comics Radio Podcast. I can't get this. I can't clear my throat for some reason. So good night, everybody.
Good night.